I guess it's something that I just always, as long as I can remember in my childhood, I always wanted to be. I loved drawing. Even my first day of school, my teacher had a beautiful chalk drawing on the board of Goldilocks, and my heart just skipped a beat, and I thought I just want to be able to draw like that. Then when I was a bit older, at the age of 9, my uncle, who, you know how you had friends of parents that you called uncle, he had some beautiful artwork, and it was an American artist, and it was all copper pots and glasses and things like that, but it was painted very realistically also, almost like hyperrealism. And I just thought that's a skill I would really love to have. And that was at the age of like 7 or 9. So I can't really remember not ever wanting not to paint. It's just something that was in me from, the word go. I guess I love the Renaissance period. And recently, because we're overseas, went to one of the major galleries, and I just love all that sort of dramatic, like the darks and the lights, and they painted in quite dark colours, but it was very dramatic. And I think I love that. It just sort of brings out intense feelings in me. And I guess with my artwork, especially the larger work, I love the contrasts of dark and light and the impact, like of a small flower but blown up very largely, so it has an impact on the person looking at it and stimulates some sort of emotion in you. Right, what skills did I have to develop to get to this point? I guess because I wanted to paint realistically, one of the skills was blending. I had to be able to blend my colours and shades so that everything would look, how can I say it, look like spheres or look like curled petals in, that I paint peonies and things like that, and floral. So blending really was a skill I had to learn to pull it off, to make it so that I was satisfied with what I was painting and that it looked as realistic as possible. Also with the realism, with the blending, it was painting on a larger scale. So it had to have that impact and that drama. So with blending especially, getting the dark tones and light tones, but very close together, so it had that sort of impact. Why I paint flowers? I guess I've always loved floral. A lot of people know I did have a history of classical ballet, but it's flowers. I love nature, and flowers have ultimate colour, movement, texture. I just love everything about them, especially peonies. They're such a challenge to paint, but I'm so drawn to them I can't help myself. Even when they're multiple petals and they go every which way, and anyone who's tried to paint one will know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's in that challenge that I want to achieve, to paint them as realistically as possible and add to it. Not just paint it as it is, but to add my perspective to it, so it actually has more drama or has more curl or more intensity, so that when the viewer's looking at it, it brings out something and resonates with them. For me, I've always painted from photographs. I can't put a vase of flowers in front of me and have the same angle going and the same light going. I find it easier to capture exactly how I want it on a photograph. I take probably, I can take up to 200 to 1,000 photographs, and then I edit them back to about a folder of 10, and then I'll edit that again back to a folder of 3 or 4 to find the angle and the contrast that I like. And I always know, I remember going to Japan and I must have taken about 2,000 photographs of cherry blossoms. And out of that, I got about a dozen that I really loved. And I always know, because I'll scan through them and then one will just leap out at you and you know that's the one you want to paint. So for me, it's about painting from reality and the reality that I take on a photograph. The other reason I use photographs, and I always take my own photographs, is that I don't have to, especially working with floral and flowers, I don't have to paint seasonally. Like, because I adore peonies, I spend a lot of money buying them in over Christmas, a summer period. They've only got a short lifespan. And photograph them, I can take 1,000 photographs, and at least I've got that reference all year round. And if I feel like, for instance, painting hydrangeas, I go back into my files of all my photographs on hydrangeas, and I can choose which ones I like to paint. So it doesn't limit me to what I have in front of me in a 3D form. So photographs work really well for me, especially, like, as I said, I photographed, peonies or cherry blossom in Japan, so I've got that reference. I went to the Chelsea Flower Show and a lot of the gardens in the UK, so I could get peonies in situ, which was fantastic because I don't get a chance to do that in Brisbane. So yeah, photographs are a great tool for me. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the paintings I'm doing while we're away. They're all done on linen boards and they're magnolias. I've photographed, which is why we talk about, when I was talking about what I use as reference, photographs. I flew to Sydney because my girlfriend said the magnolias were out. We don't get the pink ones where I live in Queensland, so I flew to Sydney. It was a great chance to have a few days in Sydney and photographed many magnolias. Hi, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Margaret and her staff, the girls. They've been such a great help for me, and I'd like to say thank you for coming to the exhibition. I'll know who you are, don't worry. And I will see you all back in Oz in December. So if you have any questions, obviously talk to Margaret and the girls. I can do commissions. If you see something you love but need something tweaked or a different size or whatever, that's always possible. So enjoy yourselves and thank you very much for coming.